Stop losing control. 7 hiding triggers that fuel your anger. What if your anger is not random, but triggered by forces you don't even notice? Today, we uncover the hidden triggers that secretly fuel your anger. Everyone gets angry. It is part of being human, a surge of emotion that demands release. But when anger controls you, when it hijacks your voice, your choices, your relationships, it begins to drain your peace. Most of us try to manage anger on surface. We breathe, count to 10, walk away. But real control doesn't come from suppressing anger. It comes from understanding it. Because beneath every outburst, beneath every moment, you regret later and hiding triggers. Subtle patterns, emotion habits, tiny sparks that light the fire long before you explode. In this video, we uncover 7 of those hidden triggers, psychologically, emotionally, and even physically, that silently push your anger button. By the end, you will not only recognize them, you will know how to diffuse them before they take control. Trigger 1. Unmet expectation. The first hidden trigger is unmet expectation. Anger often begins when reality doesn't match the story in our head. You expected appreciation, but got silence. You expected fairness, but got overlooked. You expected effort, but saw indifference. The emotion that follows is not always about the event itself. It is about the gap between what we want and what we got. Story elements. Think about driving through traffic, running late, and every red light feel personal. The truth, the universe is not against you, but your expectation of control or smoothness was violated. That is where irritation begins. Unmet expectation turn ordinary moments into emotionally landmines. The solution, awareness. When you feel anger, isn't ask what expectation just broke. Naming it turns emotionally cause into clarity. Trigger 2, emotional fatigue. The second hidden trigger is emotional fatigue. Anger often sparks when your mind and body are simply tired. When you have not rested, your brain's emotionally filter weakens. The smallest comment, the tiniest mistake suddenly feel unbearable. Story elements. Ever notice how argument escalates at night, or how you snap more easily after a long work day? It is not that the problem is bigger. It is that your emotional energy is low. Emotional fatigue discusses itself as irritation, defeat, rest, nutrition, boundaries. You cannot regulate what is already depleted. Trigger 3. Suppressed emotions. Hiding anger often grows from suppressed emotions. Maybe you were told to stay calm, don't make a scene, or be strong. So you learn to swallow frustration instead of processing it. But emotion doesn't disappear. They store like pressure under the surface. Story element. Think of shaking soda bottle. The pressure is not visible until the cap comes off. When sadness, shame, or disappointment are buried long enough, they find an exit through anger. The key is emotionally honesty, journaling, therapy, quiet reflection, because the anger you suppress becomes the anger to surprise you later. Trigger 4. Feeling disrespected. One of the deepest anger triggers is feeling disrespected. It is not just the words, it is the meaning behind them. When someone cuts you off, interrupts you, or dismisses you, it threatens your sense of worth. Anger becomes a defense, a shield protecting your dignity. Story element. In a meeting, a colleague mocks your idea. You laugh it off, but inside, something tightens. That is not arrogant. That's your ego defending its territory. But there is paradox. The more you add disrespect, the more control you give away. True power lies in not needing approval to stay centered. Trigger 5. Unresolved past pain. Sometimes anger today is not about today, it is about yesterday. The wound will never close. A harsh parent, a betrayer, a time you felt unheard. Each unresolved pain can echo in presence. Story element. Someone criticized your idea and you feel 12 years old again, dismissed, powerless. That is not just memories, that is emotionally time travel. The mind links new events with old emotions. Recognizing the link breaks the chain. Healing your past reduces the volume of your present anger. Trigger 6. Feeling out of control. Few things fuel anger like losing control, traffic jams, delays, unexpected outcomes all remind us we are not in charge. Control gives the illusion of safety. When that illusion breaks, fear turns into frustration, and frustration becomes anger. Story element. Picture yourself waiting for important call that never comes. Every minute feels louder. What you are really fighting is helplessness. The remedy is not control, it is adaptability. You cannot always choose the situation, but you can choose your response. Trigger 7. Hiding stress and overload. The final hiding trigger is stress overload. Anger often surfaces not from one big issue, but from dozens of small ones piling up. Each ignored worry adds weight onto one tiny thing. A misplaced key, a spilled drink makes everything collapse. Story element. It is a classic last straw moment. You are not angry, but the straw. You are angry about the stack. Unchecked stress turns impatience into powder. The antidote is simply but powerful. Consistent decompression. Walks, music, solitude, gratitude, anything that let the mind breathe. Seeing 7 triggers: expectation, fatigue, suppression, disrespect, past pain, loss of control, and overload. But understanding them is not just about avoiding anger, it is about decoding yourself. Anger is really the problem, it is the messenger. It says, something inside me needs attention. When you feel it, instead of exploding or expressing, get curious. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling beneath the anger? What fear, extortion, or hurt might this be masking? What expectation was just broken? This question transforms anger from action into information, and information gives you power. Now that you know the triggers, here is how to disarm them before they take over. Step 1. Name it. When anger rises, label the emotions out loud or in your mind. This is frustrating. This is exhaustion. This is disappointing. Naming an emotion activates logic and calm the limbic system. Step 2. Create peace. Step away physically if you can. Take a walk, calm breaths, or drink water. Space shrinking reaction time, which is where control lives. Step 3. Reframe the story. Replace why is this happening to me with what is this teaching me. That single shift converts victimhood into learning. Step 4. Prevent building up. Prioritize rest, boundaries, and emotional honesty. A well-rested mind rarely explodes. Anger is not your enemy, it is a sign. or load often misunderstood. The goal is not to eliminate anger, but to translate it, to hear what it's really saying before it shouts. Behind every flare-up, there is a lesson, a need for respect, a call for rest, a boundary crossed. When you start seeing anger as communication rather than cause, you gain control. So next time you feel it rising, remember you are not losing control, you are gaining awareness. And awareness is the beginning of peace.